Hi guys, it's Justin here again from Rated Tipsters with another short video walking you through a service that I've just reviewed and we've published last week called Value Bet Factory. It's a service that I've been wanting to try out and look at for a while now. I was really impressed using it. I trialed it for 2 months, had really good results, and the service does exactly what it promises to do. So I'll walk you through a bit my results, the process of what the service actually does, and the theory behind why it works so well. So the first thing to note is that it's a service that works only for those of you with soft bookmaker accounts. The reason for that is that it uses the sharp bookmaker Pinnacle and the Betfair Exchange. It uses the odds from those two sources to identify the true odds or the fair odds. And then if the soft bookmakers odds are higher than that, it will send you a telegram alert and there's a bet for you. So if you're limited with soft bookmakers, unfortunately this service won't be for you. But if you do have online accounts, it's a really strong service that I'm really happy with. So the first thing that I'll note and talk you through is that there are two elements to this service. You've got the Plus EV scanner and the dropping odds tool. So the Plus EV scanner, it'll constantly compare the odds of soft bookmakers with those with Pinnacle and Betfair. It will then remove the margin from Pinnacle to give a true odds calculation. And when the odds with your soft bookmakers are higher than the Pinnacle fair odds, it will send you a telegram alert looking like this. So here we've got a soccer match. We've got a bet come through with Ladbrokes at odds of 1.67 with a Pinnacle EV of just over 7%. I'll talk you through the settings and how you can customize these alerts to suit your personal circumstances a little bit later. But yeah, that's just to show you what an alert actually looks like. From there, you just log on to your bookmaker and place the bet, and it's that simple. So the second thing the service does is the dropping odds tool. So this doesn't use Betfair, but only Pinnacle, and it will send alerts when there's a sudden or sharp drop in the Pinnacle odds. It will then calculate the fair odds, and then similarly, it'll display the odds with your chosen bookmaker. So here we can see in this tennis match, there's been a 6.6% drop in the odds from 4.12 to 3.85. The fair odds now are 4.16, and Ladbrokes are offering 4.2 for a very small edge. So that's basically what the service does. It'll use these sharp bookmakers and Betfair as a benchmark. And if the soft bookmakers odds are higher, you've got an alert that will come through. You do have probably the weekends are the busiest periods. So my approach with this service was a lot of the times through the week when I didn't have as much time, I would just turn the telegram alerts off, and then I'd focus a lot on weekends to have the alerts on and just trying to get as many bets on as possible over the weekend. So again, it's good for those of you with soft bookmaker accounts and the time on the weekends to get as many bets as possible. So I'll take you through to the Value Bet Factory site now and show you a bit about how you can customize the settings to suit your personal circumstances. So the first thing I'll note is that they've got these sort of pre-filled settings that you can choose to turn on or off. They've got several different things for all the different sports and tiers of competitions. But what I've done is I've just created my own filters, called them my settings, and that's all that I've worked off of. So the first thing is competitions. I've got every competition selected. Something that's really useful with this service is that they separate the competitions into 3 tiers. So you've got tier 1, 2, and 3, where tier 3 is the sort of lower, obscure leagues, and a lot of people will choose to filter these out. So they'll only bet on tier 1 or 2, sometimes only tier 1, but definitely a lot of people will exclude bets from tier 3 because the bookmakers will take less bets on these events, and it might be seen as suspicious, or they might take a closer look at your account if you're constantly betting on lower division soccer or ITF Challenger tennis. It's generally not something they like, and there's still plenty of bets come through in tier 1 and 2. But for me, I just took the approach of taking every competition, all 3 tiers, to try and get as many bets on as I could during the trial period. But that is a great option to have to help. Hopefully, it can help extend the longevity of your accounts if you're only betting on tier 1 or 2. So having set that, we then go through to the EV scanner. So I've got it switched on for alerts for Pinnacle and Betfair, with a minimum EV percentage of 3% for both. Some people will prefer to have this much higher, maybe 10%, so that they're maybe probably going to get on less bets, but a higher profit on the bets they do place. Similar to what I did with the competitions, my approach was just to try and get a volume of bets, get as much bets on as I could in the time I had. So I've set my percentage pretty low. Some people would probably even set it at 1 or 2% to just try and get a huge volume of bets on instead of the more selective approach. But that's really down to personal risk, whether you'll have longer losing runs with a lower EV percentage, but maybe in actual time the losing runs won't go for as long because you'll have more bets. That's really a personal choice. And I've mentioned as well that the alerts for Betfair, they use the lay price as the fair odds. So with Pinnacle, they take the Pinnacle odds and then remove the bookmaker margin, and that's how they come to the fair odds there. And with Betfair, they just use the lay odds on the event. Next, we'll look at the Pinnacle. You set the Pinnacle minimum drop percentage. So here I've got mine set to 10%. So anytime the odds suddenly drop by 10% or more, I'll get an alert, and it will show me the odds available currently with my bookmakers. I've got all the markets selected, and I've got these bookmakers selected. You can select from a long list of bookmakers they've got available in the US, UK, and Europe. So again, you just select whatever bookmakers you can bet with from that list, and you'll only get alerts when those bookmakers have odds at your minimum EV percentage. I've set my odds range between 1.3 and 10. I took a pretty broad odds range. You could, if I was going to make any adjustments to that, I'd probably bring that in maybe to 5 or 6. I don't generally enjoy betting on anything above that, but I wanted to get as many bets on as possible. The market limits. So for the Pinnacle minimum amount, that's the minimum amount that Pinnacle will lay on the bet at the given time. So when this is closer to the start of an event, this will be a lot higher. When they've just put a market up, the event's 2 or 3 days away, it'll be a small amount, probably 50 or 100 euros. So I discussed this a little bit in the review. There are some reasons why you might want to have a minimum Pinnacle amount of 500. Some of these matches with a lower market limit can be open to manipulation, and the odds can sort of jump around a lot. And a big drop might not actually be reflective of a genuine move in the market. But ultimately, from my results, I saw no reason to avoid betting when there's a lower market limit below 500. So I've had this as my setting, and I'm going to keep it that way moving forward. Time before kickoff, I didn't put anything in there. Days, 6 hours. So that's how you can sort of customize the settings to your own circumstances. You can turn the Telegram alerts off whenever you're not able to place any bets. This is really useful to be able to customize it to the bookmakers you have available, and the EV percentages that you want is probably the key thing to play around with. So the results I've had, we'll scroll down here. And I've got it over here as well. So In the 2 months trial period, I placed 275 bets. We had an ROI of just over 7% and an average CLV of 5.43%. So the CLV is probably, well, definitely is the most important figure. That tells you that over the course of thousands of bets, how much profit or what your ROI will eventually be. It'll always line up very closely to your average CLV, because the CLV is taking the closing odds at Pinnacle before the event starts. They're when the odds are the most accurate. So if we're beating the closing line odds by over 5%, and like I mentioned with the settings, I had a minimum EV of 3%. So that tells you that the service is doing exactly what it should be. If the CLV was 1 or 2%, might be a little bit concerned, but we're well above the 3% minimum that I'd set, and the ROI of 7% was really good as well. But to be honest, with just 275 bets, you could definitely possible that we'd be losing money over that time period, even with the positive CLV. So I'm less concerned with the ROI and just very happy with the CLV. So we've got, this is the bet tracker page. I talk about it a bit in the review. It's a great feature they have, that when you get the alerts through on Telegram, you can see here they've got an option to log this bet. So you click that, and then you just message the bot the odds. So in this one, 2.4, and the stake $5, and it will automatically add the bets to this bet tracker. It'll fill in all your stake and your odds, which is really good. It saves a lot of time. Saves having to manually go through and look at every bet and sort of record the profit and loss yourself. I do mention in the review that the only downside is that you have to record the result manually on the bet tracker screen. But Arthur from Value Bet Factory did tell me that sometime in their December update, that will become automatic. So all your bets will automatically result, and then the profit or loss will also show instantly on your bet tracker page. So that was basically the only negative I had on the service, was it didn't automatically update the results in the bet tracker. So that was very good to hear. So you can see this column here shows the percentage of profit at the closing line that we've had on the bet. So if we scroll down here, you can see most of these are green. So the majority of bets, we have had a positive CLV, which is exactly what you want to see. Of course, that doesn't guarantee that the bet's going to win. I mean, we've got these two here where we've had a 5% edge and almost an 8% edge, and they've both lost. And then here we've had one with a negative edge, and it's won. Another one here with negative edge, 1, negative edge, 1. We've had a 78% edge on this bet, and it's lost. So it doesn't guarantee you anything over the short term, achieving a positive CLV, but over the long term, it will guarantee that you'll be profitable. And it is the most accurate measure of how profitable you will be over the long term. And you can see with the graph, it's a pretty smooth journey. Bit of a rocky start, bit of a downturn here, but other than that, really quite smooth and stress-free, to be honest. So I've broken down the results in the review by the odds range, sport, the time before the event, and the Pinnacle market limit at the time. The constant theme I saw when going through the results was that sometimes the actual profit might vary a bit. Like I think with the odds range, betting below odds of 2.5, we actually had a negative ROI, and above that, an ROI of 25%. But the CLV was pretty strong for both of them. So it was pretty clear that over time that the ROIs would level out. And that was something I saw across all all the different sports ROI here was big difference between the two, but the CLV very strong for both. So really, everything I've looked at, I was really happy with my settings. I think 3% was good. You could even 5% would be fine. But it's finding that balance between having a high volume of bets and also getting a strong edge on the bets you do place. And I think I struck that balance well, and there was no odds ranges or specific sports that I should have filtered out. So that tells you that the method of the service is strong. Using Pinnacle and Betfair as a benchmark for the true odds, it does work, and it's just a matter of having the accounts with the soft bookmakers and finding the time, particularly on the weekends. Sometimes a Wednesday night might get a bit of action as well. But it's a service that I talk a bit about the account limitations here and some strategies you can use to extend the life of your online accounts. But the reality is that your accounts will always be restricted if you're placing positive EV bets or you're winning over the long term. The last thing I'll touch on is the customer service was really good. Arthur responds generally within a couple of minutes. Anytime you message him on Telegram, you can privately message him. Really quick to reply, very helpful. They've, even since I've 2 or 3 months using the service, they've rolled out several updates. There's more coming, so they're really constantly adding bookmakers and tinkering with the settings page to make it more user friendly. They've got all these tutorials and sort of education articles on the side as well that is really useful. So I can't speak more highly of the people that run this service. It's very thorough. It does exactly what it advertises that it will do. So if you've got the bookmaker accounts to make it work, you can take a 7-day free trial using this link on the review. I'd highly recommend you do that. So yeah, I hope this has been useful. Do take a look at the full review, and we've got some more reviews coming again, hopefully before the end of the year. So we'll speak again soon. Bye.